Why do you wear that dog collar on your ankle?
Because it's me.
Who's you?
Natalie Miller, who's you?
David Harris. Is that the only reason?
No. I wear it to tell people that I know who I am.
Because you're afraid they might tell you first?
How have I not done a Patty Duke episode yet? Well, that ends today. Hello and welcome. So, I love Patty Duke. She's my favorite actor out there, and for those of you not familiar with who she is, she's won an Oscar, 2 Golden Globes, and 3 Emmys. She's also Sean Astin's mom.
You're looking at Sean now not only as a son, but as an accomplished actor. I mean,
as a great big movie star.
At the age of 16, Patty Duke was the youngest person at the time to win a competitive Oscar. She won for her role as Helen Keller in the 1962 film The Miracle Worker. After her Oscar, Patty moved to television starring as identical cousins Patty and Kathy in the sitcom The Patty Duke Show.
Identical cousins all the way.
And this show made Patty Duke become a teen idol. She even had a brief singing career.
Instead, I'll introduce you to the star of The Patty Duke Show. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Miss Patty Duke.
Please don't just stand there. Come and kiss me like before.
By the time Patty Duke became an adult, her sitcom was coming to an end, so she had to make that difficult transition from child star to serious actor. And she tried to do this by starring as the boozy, pill-popping Neely O'Hara in the film Valley of the Dolls. Valley of the Dolls was based off a book that was very hyped at the time, and this movie was supposed to be this sensational tell-all about Hollywood. But unfortunately, the film was laughed off the screen for its hokey scenes and over-the-top dialogue.
They say I'm difficult. They say I'm drunk even when I'm not. Sure, I take dolls, I gotta get some sleep. I gotta get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and sparkle, Neely, sparkle.
Me, Natalie was the following film Patty Duke made after the disastrous Valley of the Dolls, so I think she had a lot riding on this. So let's talk about it. Patty Duke plays Natalie, a young girl who feels held back by her lack of beauty. In real life, Patty Duke didn't struggle in the looks department, so for this film she was given false teeth and a prosthetic nose. Natalie's parents are determined to get her hitched before she becomes an old maid, and her friends are literally falling in love in front of her. She, on the other hand, is not so lucky in this department.
Thanks, Stanley. What do you want from me? It was
Don't
Betty's...
you think we better go? All right, let's go.
Ashamed of how she looks, she turns to her uncle, who insists that looks are not everything, and what really matters is what's inside.
Natalie, you see all these bottles around here. Which one do you think is the most beautiful? Okay, now to me, this is the most beautiful. You want to know why? Because this one can stop pain. It can ease suffering. But that is nothing but colored water.
However, Natalie loses faith in what her uncle tells her when she meets his bride-to-be.
Natalie, I'm sorry.
For what? For lying? For telling me stories about red bottles and green bottles? For giving me hope and then making me realize what an idiot I was for believing it?
Before she has a chance to reconcile with her uncle, he dies unexpectedly. Sometime later, Natalie's parents set her up on a blind date that is quite lackluster. It eventually comes out that her father made a financial deal with this young man to marry her. Furious at this, Natalie leaves her parents' Brooklyn home and moves to Greenwich Village. Here, Natalie meets David, an aspiring artist who starts to fall for her. A fact about me, I'm a sucker for a film that switches genres. And I'm not talking about films like horror comedies or dramedies. I'm talking about a film that'll just randomly take a complete 180 tonal shift. The first half of Me, Natalie is this gut-wrenching drama about a girl who is completely dismissed by the world. Then out of nowhere, it shifts into this rom-com where the artist lives below her and their apartments are connected by a dumbwaiter, and when she is annoyed at him, she throws rocks on the floor. Aside from the rom-com elements, she also does quirky things like crashing a funeral of a guy she doesn't know and gets mistaken for being his mistress. She basically moves to Greenwich Village during the big movement in the 60s and comes into her own. This film actually reminds me a lot of Butterflies Are Free.
Why don't you want your mother to come here?
Well, now, how'd you know that?
Well, if you can hear me, I can hear you. I guess the sound must come right out from under that door. What's that door for, anyway?
Well, your apartment and mine were once one apartment. And when they converted it into two, they just locked that instead of sealing it.
Me, Natalie predates the film Butterflies Are Free and the play that it's based off of. However, Butterflies Are Free is loosely based on a true story, so I think the similarities are just a coincidence. The reviews of Me, Natalie were mixed to say the least, but Patty Duke's performance was universally praised, and this film led to her second Golden Globe win. I personally love this film. This isn't one of those ugly duckling stories where all she needed to do was ditch the glasses and the ponytail. Yes, Natalie's looks change throughout the movie, but she never fixes her nose or her teeth. Her looks change because she becomes more comfortable with herself. And I know that this probably isn't the first time a movie like this has been made, and I know it wasn't the last. But that doesn't mean that this movie is bad. This movie is entertaining and funny, and dare I even say thought-provoking. Another great thing about this film is the cast. Aside from Patty Duke's stellar performance, there's quite a bit of noticeable faces. Any fan of The Sopranos will recognize Natalie's mother as the villainous Livia. Natalie's uncle? You might recognize him as the detective in Psycho. And Natalie's landlady, the Bride of Frankenstein. When Natalie goes to the dance, a guy tries to pick her up. This is the first role of Al Pacino.
Do you put out?
You mean at least?
What do you mean? Do you put out or don't you?
No.
I don't know what I'm doing talking to you. Somebody like you ought to be asking me.
And during the football game, keep an eye out for one of the cheerleaders because she is played by daytime legend Susan Lucci. Patty Duke went on to have a very successful career, but unfortunately, she was one of the actors to pass away in 2016. I just want to take this moment to say I feel really grateful that I got the opportunity to meet her before she passed away. I'm not somebody big on celebrity, but I was extremely nervous to meet her because I admire her so much. I was afraid I had built it up too much, even though I've heard so many stories about what a class act she is and how great she is. Luckily, she turned out to be everything I was hoping for and more. She was so sweet and so kind. So I just want to say thank you. Anna Marie Patty Duke Pierce, you will be missed. You were a great actor, a great activist, and an all-around great person. Until next time. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you liked this video and you want to see more, make sure that you subscribe. If you did enjoy it, I'd appreciate it if you click that like button. And something about a bell. If you see a bell, click the bell. And of course, if you have anything you'd like to say about the movie or the video that you just watched, there's a comment box below. And as always, until next time.